Hey guys. Tonight we begin with something quieter, but heavier. Not a battlefield, not a war, not a throne, but a mother and a cross. This is not the version from Sunday school. This is not the one with gold halos and soft hymns. This is what it felt like to be there, to watch him rise, not in glory, but on wood, to feel your son's blood drying beneath your fingernails, to hold him one last time, and know it's not the last chapter. So, before you get too cozy, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this strange little corner of quiet storytelling. And drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's strangely comforting to know who else is drifting off with us around the world. Now get comfortable, let the day melt away, and we'll drift back together into the quiet corners of the past. You wake before dawn. The air is too still, not silent, just still. The kind of stillness that means something is about to break. You sit up, heart heavy, though you don't know why. Yet, the birds aren't singing. Or maybe they are, but you can't hear them over the pounding in your ears. Something's wrong. You feel it before you know it, like a sickness moving through your chest. You wrap your shawl around your shoulders, the same one he used to tug at when he was small. You used to scold him, gently, pretending to be stern while hiding your smile. He loved the way it smelled. Of smoke, of home, of you. You step outside, and the smell of the city hits you like a hand across the face. Dirt, sweat, firewood, and something else. Something metallic, sharp, like blood. The street is stirring. Not fully awake, not yet, but there's movement. Shadows slipping between walls. Women whispering too loudly to be respectful. Men talking too fast to be safe. You hear your name once, then your son's. That's when you stop breathing. Jesus, not in reverence, not in prayer, as a warning. You move fast, faster than you have in years. Your bones protest, your sandals slap the earth. No one stops you, no one meets your eyes. You run like a mother who knows she's already too late. You pass the baker. He doesn't greet you, just stares at the ground. You pass the water seller. His voice trails off mid-chant. He turns his back. They know. Everyone knows. The temple guards have been up all night. That much is clear. They look pleased, sweaty, smug. You catch a glimpse of one of them wiping his hands on his robe, like he touched something filthy. You want to ask. You want to scream, but you don't. You already know. The look on his face tells you more than words could. Blasphemy. That's what they said. That word they only use when they want a man dead and need the illusion of righteousness to do it. Rebellion. That's what the Romans will use. A word that means nothing but costs everything. A word that lets them kill without guilt. There's no trial. Not really. There's just a performance. A script. Lines they've rehearsed for centuries. You've seen it before. You've watched them drag sons away from mothers. You just never thought today would be yours. You push through the crowds. Someone grabs your arm. You shake them off. Your breath is a knife in your chest. Your heart is a bell tower collapsing inside your ribs. You hear shouting, then jeering, then something worse. Silence. The kind of silence that means a verdict has just been given. You stop walking because you don't need to hear the words. You already know what they decided. The sentence is written in the footsteps of the soldiers heading toward Golgotha. It's smeared in the blood, trailing down the temple stairs. It's etched in the eyes of the man who used to sell fish next to your cousin's stall, the one who won't look at you now. They've condemned him, your son, your child, the boy who once fell asleep on your chest after chasing butterflies, the man who healed strangers with his hands and made enemies with his words, the one you raised, the one you warned, the one who looked at the world and didn't flinch. They're going to kill him. Legally, publicly, with ceremony, with nails. The word crucifixion isn't said, but it doesn't have to be. You feel it. In the way people shift their eyes, in the way no one will say his name again. You keep walking, not because you know where he is, but because not moving would mean surrender. You find yourself near the governor's hall. The stones there are cleaner than they should be, like something sacred has been washed away. And then you hear it. Not his voice. Not yet. You hear the crowd, laughing, spitting, yelling. You hear the sentence, before you hear the scream. And when it comes, when you finally hear him cry out, it doesn't sound like a man being punished. It sounds like a son calling for his mother. It cuts through you with surgical precision. No soldier could do what that sound does. No hammer, no spear, no whip. You don't know how your legs keep moving. You just know they do. You follow the sound like it's a thread pulling you through a dream made of stone and dust and salt. You catch a glimpse of him. Your child. Your son. He's on his knees. Blood runs from his face. His back is a ruin. The crown is real. It's not a metaphor. It's thorns. And they've pushed it down hard enough to break the skin, not just the spirit. He lifts his head. He sees you. You expect anger, or fear, or regret. But he gives you something else. Peace. And that's what finally breaks you. You push through the festival crowds, people smiling, eating bread, buying lambs, and all you can see are the soldiers. They're everywhere. Steel glints in the morning sun. Red cloaks ripple like warning flags. Helmets bob above the heads of merchants and mothers and little boys playing with carved wooden toys. Pilgrims sing psalms under their breath. Roman boots stomp to a rhythm that doesn't belong in any temple song. The city smells like roasted meat, dust, and fear. Jerusalem doesn't sleep. It waits. For something. For someone. For blood. Passover week brings more than holy men and hope. It brings occupation with a smile. Soldiers lean on stone archways like they own them, because they do. Every alley, every rooftop, every breath belongs to Rome now. And Rome is never subtle. You move faster. No one stops you. They barely see you. A woman, older than she feels, moving through a city that has already decided what kind of story it wants to tell today. The festival is in full bloom. Colorful garments flap on market stalls. Wheat cakes are being flipped. Coins change hands. Children are singing songs you taught your son when he was 5. But none of it matters. You can't see the joy, only the gaps, the absence, the way people avoid the center of the square. You know why. There's a man there, bound, bleeding, dragging a cross too large for any human soul. And he looks like your child. You haven't reached him yet, but the crowd already knows the shape of the tragedy. They part around him like he's contagious, like mercy might stain their sandals. Some call him names, others just stare. Most do nothing. The city isn't cruel today. It's indifferent. It's worse. You pass a stall selling lambs for sacrifice. A little boy is haggling with the butcher, too proud to let his father speak for him. He's missing his front tooth and doesn't care. He clutches the animal like it's a toy. He doesn't know yet what's coming. Or maybe he does. You watch the knife flash behind the table. Quick, routine. Blood hits the ground like spilled wine. The boy flinches. And for a moment, you see your son again. At 12. In the temple. Surrounded by old men who couldn't understand how someone so young could speak with so much fire. He had looked at you then, like he was already halfway to the cross. You hadn't understood. You do now. You make it to the next street. It's tighter here. Less room for denial. The shops thin out. The music fades. Now it's just soldiers and sweat and something that feels like waiting. You hear the crowd before you see it. Not chanting, not singing, murmuring, buzzing like flies on spoiled fruit. He's near. You push forward. Someone grabs your wrist. You pull away. A woman stares at you, like she recognizes you, but isn't sure from where. You want to scream at her, tell her, make her remember. But you don't. You keep walking. You turn the corner and the noise condenses. It thickens into something alive. And then, there he is. You freeze. Your legs forget how to be legs. He's on the ground, face down, arms sprawled, the cross crushing him like a second death. A guard shouts, kicks him. Another man, strong, unfamiliar, is pulled from the crowd to help. Simon, they say, from Cyrene. He doesn't speak, he just lifts. Your son doesn't look at him, or the crowd, or the sky. He looks at the dirt, and you remember, suddenly, the first time he fell, not as a man, but as a toddler, chasing a lizard through the courtyard. He tripped on a rock, skinned his knee, looked at you with betrayal in his eyes, like the world had lied to him. You kissed the scrape, whispered, "You're okay." He nodded, believed you. You can't kiss this wound. You can't tell this lie. The soldiers shove him to his feet. The wood groans on his back. He moves like he's already dead. But he's not. Not yet. They won't give him that mercy. And still he walks. You follow. Not behind. Not beside. Just close enough to breathe the dust he stirs up with every step. Jerusalem keeps moving. A wedding procession crosses behind you. Flutes play. Girls giggle under flower crowns. The bride doesn't see the man bleeding in the street. Or maybe she does and chooses not to. You can't blame her. You pass a scribe reading aloud on a corner. He recites from Isaiah. Something about suffering. Something about a man despised and rejected. The words hang in the air like prophecy and poison. No one stops to listen. But you do. You hear every word. You taste them like salt in your mouth. And when you look at your son, barely upright, barely breathing, you understand that Scripture was never written. It was remembered. Because this has happened before. The city has always known how to kill its prophets. And now, it's killing your son. You reach the base of the hill, Golgotha, the skull place. No grass grows here. No birds sing. Just rock and ropes and wood soaked with yesterday's blood. He's almost there. You can't turn back. You wouldn't, even if you could. Because if he's going to be crucified, then you will be too. Not in body, but in memory. In the ache that never fades. You lift your eyes and wait. Just like the city. Except you're not waiting for death. You're waiting for it to be over. You find him, barely. He's not standing. Not exactly. The only thing holding him upright is the wood strapped to his back. His legs shake with every breath. His spine curves inward, like even his bones are trying to retreat from this world. His hands hang limp at his sides. The rope around his wrists digs into torn flesh. It's not restraint, it's display. And his face is a map of pain. Bruises bloom across his cheeks like purple flowers planted by fists. One eye is swollen shut. His lips are split and caked in dry blood. His nose is broken. Again. You remember the first time it happened. He was a boy, climbing too high, falling too hard. You cried more than he did. That was a different kind of pain, the kind that ends, the kind that heals. This will not heal. You step forward. No one stops you, but they don't move either. The crowd makes space for you not out of kindness, but curiosity. They want to see what the mother of a condemned man looks like. Whether she screams, whether she collapses, whether she begs. You don't do any of those things. You just keep walking until you're close enough to see that his chest, what's left of it, is shredded. Not bruised, not scraped, shredded. The whip didn't just break the skin, it erased it. His ribs are raw, exposed in places. There are lash marks where the tips of the leather snapped back with bone hooks. You know that kind. You've heard of them. You never thought you'd see them embedded in your child. And then there's the crown. It's not poetic. It's not symbolic. It's thorns, thick, brutal, twisted into something vaguely circular and forced down hard onto his scalp. Blood drips from beneath it, tracking down his temple, into his ear. You don't need to touch it to know it bites. You see it in the way he flinches every time he moves his head, the way he avoids sudden light, sudden noise. He's not afraid of death. He's just exhausted by pain. You want to take it off. You want to reach up and tear it away and hold his face and tell him it's over. But it isn't. The soldiers won't let it be over. They stand near him, bored. One is eating. Another yawns. They treat crucifixion like cleanup duty. Just another day, another body, another name they'll forget by morning. The crowd doesn't help. They're louder now, laughing, shouting things. Some call him a king, others call him a fraud. One spits, another throws a pebble that misses. A few clap like it's a play. There's no shame in their eyes, just curiosity, just entertainment. You wonder how many of them he healed. You wonder how many of them followed him just last week, palms up, eyes wide, asking for miracles. You wonder if they'll sleep tonight with his blood still drying on their hands, because it is on their hands. You see it, on the fingertips of the butcher's son, on the sleeves of the man who once shouted, Hosanna, on the sandal straps of the woman you prayed beside in the temple. It's smeared across the marketplace. It drips down the handles of water jars. It glistens on the steps of the praetorium like spilled oil. His blood is everywhere now, and no one tries to wipe it away. Your knees buckle, just for a moment, just long enough for your body to admit what your soul already knows. But you don't fall. You won't give them that. You straighten, slowly. Your feet root into the earth. You lift your eyes and force yourself to meet his. He sees you, barely, through the one eye that still opens, through the sweat and tears and blood that cloud his sight. But he sees you, and in that single second, in that single look, everything else disappears. The noise, the crowd, the Romans, the wood, the thorns, the pain, gone. There's only the two of you. Just as it was in Bethlehem, in Nazareth, in that temple courtyard when he was 12 and forgot to tell you he was staying behind. You were always searching for him, and he was always waiting for you to arrive. You whisper his name, not loudly, not to perform, just enough for your lips to remember how it feels. The syllables catch in your throat, not because of grief, because of love. A love that aches in places grief hasn't reached yet. A soldier barks something, another laughs. They nudge him forward. The cross shifts, he stumbles. The crowd roars. You want to reach out, catch him, cradle his head, scream at the sky, rip the world apart at its seams. But you don't, because he doesn't. He rises again, slowly, shakily. He carries the wood like a secret, like a promise, like the entire weight of heaven and earth were carved into that beam and no one else can hold it. He moves, and you follow, because even now, especially now, you're still his mother. And this is still not over. You follow behind, not too close, not too far, just enough to see the wood digging into his back, a back you once bathed, a back you once carried. You remember it so clearly now, though you'd forgotten it for years. Him, still small, arms wrapped around your neck, asleep on your chest as you carried him from synagogue, his head bobbing with every step. You remember the smell of his hair, the weight of him, the way he used to hum in his sleep. You remember how you used to lift him effortlessly. Now they've made him carry something no man should carry, and it's killing him. The cross is not smooth. It's not polished. It's not like the ones carved for temple display or drawn in scrolls. This is raw timber, splintered, rushed. The bark still clings to some parts. Rusted nails jut out where others had been fastened to it before. There's old blood dried into the grain. This isn't a cross for a king. It's a cross for garbage, and yet he carries it. You watch his shoulder blades move under his skin that's already been torn, skin that flaps with every breath. The wood grinds into muscle and bone. Every step is too much. Every jolt is a scream his mouth no longer has the strength to make. He stumbles. Hard. The cross shifts sideways. His knees slam into the stone. His arms are too bound to break the fall. His face hits the ground with a sickening, dusty thud. And they cheer. They laugh. Like it's a trick. Like it's part of the show. One soldier pulls him by the arm. Another kicks him. Another just watches. They don't care if he stands again. They don't care if he breaks. They just need him alive long enough to get to the hill. He tries to rise. His hands scrabble at the dirt, like a blind man feeling for a door that isn't there. He lifts his chest, then his legs, then the beam. The crowd grows louder. Some are chanting now. Others are arguing. One man near you says he should have known better. Another spits and mutters something about false messiahs. A woman nearby is crying into her shawl. You don't know who she is, but you know the sound of someone watching their world collapse. You try to breathe. You can't. You reach up and press your hand to your chest, as if maybe your ribs just need convincing. But it's not your ribs, it's your soul. Something in you is unraveling. Not like thread, but like a seam ripping across an entire garment. You gasp. You bite your lip. You taste blood. You keep walking. You have to. He's moving again, dragging the cross now, not carrying it. It scrapes across the stones with a dull grind. One end hits a curb and bounces. He nearly falls again. The man from before, Simon, is pulled forward by the guards and made to lift it. He doesn't argue. He doesn't speak. He just bends and takes the weight. Your son's legs sag with relief, but the shame doesn't lift. You can see it in his face. To need help, to collapse, to not be able to finish this alone. It's not pride, it's prophecy. It's the quiet knowledge that even this, even suffering, has witnesses, and none of them can share the full burden. Not even you. You want to run to him. Take the beam on your own back. Scream that this is your son, not theirs. Tell them he once stayed up all night comforting a sick neighbor's child. Tell them he made tables without nails and sandals without seams. Tell them he wept when Joseph died. Tell them he kissed you on the forehead every time he left the house, just in case it was the last time. But none of that matters here. The crowd doesn't want miracles now. They want death. You pass a woman holding a baby. The child reaches out toward the scene, toward your son. The mother pulls him back with a whisper and walks away quickly, like goodness is something contagious. And this is what it looks like after it dies. You look up. The hill is close now. You can see the outline of the posts already standing. Old crosses, already claimed, still stained. The sky above is pale, too pale, as if even the heavens are holding their breath. You glance at your son again. His mouth moves. No words come out, but you recognize the shape of the syllables. He's praying, not for justice, not for revenge, for them, for the ones driving nails, for the ones watching, for the ones laughing, for you. You fall to your knees, because suddenly you can breathe again. But it's not relief. It's the sound of a heart breaking open. And you know now, there's still so much further to go. The hill is dust and sweat. Golgotha, the place of the skull, a name people whisper like it's cursed, but still climb like it's a seat at the theater. They've made a stage out of death. Not even a good one. Just a patch of rock above the road where the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't blink. No shade, no tree, no mercy. The crowd is already waiting. Men chewing on dried figs, children perched on their father's shoulders, women with baskets sitting like it's market day. Someone brought wine, another brought bread. They've come to watch people die and packed lunch, to make it comfortable. There are 3 posts standing, 2 already occupied. 2 men groaning, strapped up, blinking into the light like it's mocking them. Their feet dance slowly against the wood, trying not to die too fast. You don't know their names. You don't need to. They're part of the backdrop, props in someone else's punishment. Then they bring him. You see him from the bottom of the hill. Your son, your child, dragged forward like a broken offering, the crossbeam no longer on his shoulders but still inside his body. He walks like he's inside a dream where nothing obeys. His feet stumble, his knees buckle, his arms hang like they've forgotten how to rise. They push him forward, not gently, not urgently, just efficiently. He's a task now, an item on their list. Strip him, bind him, raise him, move on. You follow. You're not alone anymore. Mary Magdalene is beside you. So is John. Salome. Others. They don't speak, they don't cry, they just walk. Like funerals before the body has even stopped breathing. At the top, you stop. Because this is as far as they'll let you go. There's a line here. Between the loved and the condemned. Between the watchers and the watched. They strip him. No hesitation. No dignity. Just hands on fabric. Pulling. Tearing. The robe sticks to his back, where the wounds have clotted. They rip it free. He doesn't scream. He just exhales like he's been robbed of air, not skin. They hold him down. You don't see the nails yet, but you hear them, clinking in a soldier's pouch like silver coins. He laughs, like they're heavier than he expected. Like this is all some joke he's heard before and still finds funny. Then the hammer. You brace for it. Not the sound, the silence right before. His hand is outstretched, palm up, fingers twitching like they might still escape. Then, the crack of metal, the crunch of bone. The sky doesn't move, but you do. You double over. Your knees hit the rock. You taste iron in your throat. It's not yours. They do the other hand, then the feet, one atop the other. One spike to keep them both still. He jerks once, then stops. His body understands now. Movement is pain. They lift him. You'd think it would take more men, but it doesn't. Just 2 soldiers and a rope. They hoist the beam up, hook it onto the upright post, like they've done this 100 times. Because they have. The wood slides into place, and your son hangs. Not floats, not rests. Hangs. His shoulders stretch, his ribs shift, his chest rises like it wants to live, but gravity pulls harder than breath. The people gasp, not from horror, from excitement. A few shout, "Look, that's him." Others shake their heads. One man laughs. He saved others. The sentence doesn't need to finish. He saved others, but not himself. He coughs. Blood, saliva, words you can't hear. The wind doesn't come up here. Not on Golgotha. It sits still. Like it's watching too. Waiting. The sun stays high. Cruel. Close. You wish for clouds. Just one. Just enough to cover his eyes. There is no shade here. You step forward again, just one pace. The soldiers don't stop you. Not really. They're too busy gambling, throwing dice at the foot of the cross, laughing. His robe is in a pile beside them, seamless, woven with care. A gift, maybe, something he never bragged about. Now it's worth a game of chance. One soldier wins. He holds the robe up. It's red, just like the blood soaking your son's thighs, just like the smear across his jaw, just like the streak running down your vision that you can't wipe away anymore. A woman beside you weeps. You don't know which Mary it is. It doesn't matter. You all cry the same now. Your son lifts his head. Barely. He sees you. He sees all of you. And even here, even now, there's no hate in his face. Only the question that has always been there, carved into his eyes like scripture. No one wants to read. Why are they doing this? You don't have an answer. So you stand there, on a hill that doesn't forgive, watching the only light you've ever known be nailed to wood. And the world, somehow, keeps turning. You hear the hammer. It's slow, deliberate, not rushed like panic, not rhythmic like music. It lands like a drumbeat, in a funeral procession, hollow, echoing, final. The first strike doesn't even sound like metal. It sounds like a verdict. It hits the nail, yes, but it also hits you, somewhere between the lungs and the soul. You want to close your eyes, but you don't. If he's going to endure this, the least you can do is watch. You count the strikes. 1, 2, 3. And then, the silence between them. That's the worst part. That sacred, suffocating stillness, where your ears ring and your hands tremble and your mouth opens but nothing comes out. You scream inside, a howl that shakes the bones of your ancestors. But no one hears it. Not the guards, not the crowd, not the sky. It's a mother's scream, and it belongs to no one but you. Then the hammer strikes again. He doesn't cry out. Not really. Just a sharp breath. A sound too dry to be a scream, too full of pain to be anything else. His face turns slightly toward the noise. His jaw clenches. His eyes close. You remember those hands. You remember holding them the first time he grasped your finger in the dark of that stable. Just moments old, too small to belong to someone so eternal. You remember those hands pulling bread from the oven, tracing letters in the dirt, lifting a child from a sickbed, wiping away tears that weren't his. Now they're pinned, bent unnaturally. One nail through tendon and bone and flesh. They tremble. Not from weakness, but from pain that has no exit. The soldiers move to the other side. Another nail. Another ritual. Another silence. The crowd has gone quiet now, not out of mercy, out of anticipation. This is the moment they came for. The lifting, the spectacle, the part where suffering becomes a show. But you're not watching a show. You're watching your son die in pieces. They work on his feet next, crossed one over the other. One spike, thick and unforgiving. They drive it through both arches. You see his back arch off the beam. His fingers stretch, like they're reaching for something. Not escape, not salvation. Just relief that will never come. And then they raise him. The beam hoists, swings, clicks into place, like a lock closing over a coffin. The weight of him settles. The wood groans. His shoulders stretch. His chest pulls upward. His knees shake. He's suspended now, not just by nails, but by agony. And it's only just beginning. You hear murmurs, whispers from the crowd. Someone says, "This is what happens to blasphemers." Another says, "He asked for this." Another just spits. You don't turn around. You don't speak. You don't curse. But your heart is no longer quiet. It's screaming with every beat. That's my child. That's my child. That's my child. They don't care. They've already decided he's not human. Not someone's son, not someone's brother, not someone's friend. He's an idea now, a threat, a thing they didn't understand and couldn't control. So they nailed it to wood to make it disappear. But he doesn't disappear. He hangs there, breathing raggedly, slowly, mouth open, sweat dripping from his hair, blood soaking his knees, his side, the beam itself. There's a fly buzzing near his mouth. He can't swat it away. There's dust in his eyes. He can't blink it clear. There's blood pooling around the base of the post. He doesn't have enough left to care. And still, he looks down, not to beg, not to accuse, to see you. You wish he wouldn't, because in his eyes, even now, you see forgiveness. Not for you. You didn't do this, but for them, for the men who held him down, for the crowd that picked the wrong prisoner, for the ones who said crucify and smiled while they said it, for every mouth that called him king with sarcasm, for every hand that threw a rock or passed a nail or simply did nothing. He's still loving them as they kill him. And that is worse than the nails, because the nails just pierce flesh. But this is a love that breaks you open and makes you watch. This is a love that bleeds and doesn't scream. This is a love that hangs on a tree and forgives the hand that hammered it there. You drop to your knees, not because you're weak, because the weight is too much, not the weight of grief, the weight of love. Because in that silence between hammer strikes, in that stillness between pain and breath, you felt something eternal slip into the dirt and refuse to leave. You reach for the ground, press your hand into the rock, into the blood, and you whisper, "I'm still here, because so is he." They raise him. The ropes creak, the wood groans, the post thuds into the ground, like thunder trapped in stone. His body jerks with the impact, then stillness, then breath, then pain again. And then nothing. Nothing changes. The sky doesn't dim, the earth doesn't crack, the birds don't fall from the air, the temple doesn't shake, the sun doesn't hide its face like it should. It just shines, bright, hot, indifferent, like it hasn't noticed that the light of the world has just been nailed to a tree. You wait for the clouds to split, for some sign, a shadow, a tremor, a gust of wind, with the scent of something divine or dreadful. But there's nothing, just people chewing. Someone bites into bread nearby. You hear the crunch of crust in their mouth, the wet sound of swallowing. A man breaks open a pomegranate and lets the juice run down his wrist. A child cries because he dropped his date and wants another. A woman gossips about a neighbor's daughter, whispering loud enough for everyone to hear. You hear sandals shuffle, coins jingle. Laughter, ripple like wind, over glass. You look up, and he is still there, hanging, silent. His arms stretch like wings broken at the joint. His fingers twitch, his knees shake every so often, reflex more than movement. His mouth hangs open, too dry to close, too cracked to speak. You stare at his face. You know that face better than your own. You remember the first time he opened his eyes. Wide, dark, confused by light. You remember him falling asleep beside the fire, face smeared with ash and jam and innocence. You remember how he kissed your cheek when he thought you were sad, his little lips sticky with figs and honey, whispering that he'd never let anything bad happen to you. And now his lips are dry, split, silent. You'd give anything to hear his voice. One word, one sound, a cough, a whisper, a groan, even just your name. Not because you need it, but because it would mean he's still here. A soldier walks past and tosses a stone toward the foot of the cross. Not at him, just nearby, like he's bored, like he's waiting for the next part. A priest adjusts his robe and clears his throat, murmuring to the man beside him about how this all could have been avoided. They don't look at you. They never look at you. It's easier that way. You look back at your son. His head slumps forward, then lifts, slowly. He scans the crowd. His eyes move past strangers, past soldiers, past shadows, and they land on you, just for a moment. And in that moment, you forget that you're standing on a death hill in the middle of a massacre. You forget that your feet are bleeding from stone, that your throat is raw from silence. You forget that the world has gone mad, and the sky has done nothing, because he sees you, and he remembers, not just who you are, who he is, who you both were, once, before all of this. When he was a boy who chased birds through the yard, who counted stars with sticky fingers, who asked impossible questions you couldn't answer. When his biggest wound was a scraped knee, when he believed the world could be good, when you did too. A bird flies overhead, bright, loud, joyful. You want to scream at it. You want to shout at the sky, "Don't you see?" But the sky doesn't flinch. It's blue, too blue, like a bruise still blooming. You thought the sky would turn to ash, that the clouds would catch fire, that God would rip the heavens in half and pour judgment over the hill, that something, anything, would reflect the agony of this moment. But nothing reflects it, except you and the women beside you. Mary Magdalene's hands are clenched so tightly they're white. Salome is rocking gently, back and forth, whispering something that might be a prayer or might be madness. John hasn't spoken in a while. He just stares, wide-eyed, like this is the first time he's ever seen death wear the face of someone he loves. Another man walks by, glances up, mutters, "He got what he deserved." You almost laugh. Not because it's funny, because it's easier than breaking. Deserved? You remember him healing a man with nothing but mud and kindness. You remember him touching the faces no one else would. You remember him laughing with the poor, sitting with the unclean, forgiving the unforgivable. You remember him raising a child from the dead with a whisper. And now they raise him, on a post, in daylight, while the world eats lunch. You step closer. Your shadow touches the base of the cross, just barely. You reach out your hand, not to touch him, just to be nearer, just to close the space that death is trying to widen between you. And still, the sky remains clear. No lightning, no thunder, no veil torn in two, just the sound of breathing too shallow to be called life. You keep your hand there, open, trembling, silent, because if the sky won't split, then you will. The priests smirk. Their robes barely move in the wind, their faces clean, unbothered. They speak in hushed tones with lifted brows, as if they're watching a boy fumble through a lesson, as if he is still a student, still wrong, still beneath them. They talk about the law, the prophets, the proper way to bleed a lie out of a man. One adjusts his sash, another folds his arms and pretends to mourn. But you see it, the quiet curve of satisfaction in their mouths, the pride hidden just beneath the sorrow. They believe they've won. They believe God is watching and applauding. The Romans don't bother pretending. They jest. One leans on his spear and yawns. Another offers a crust of bread to a friend and mimes the way your son gasped when the nail went in. A third is carving something into the dirt with the tip of his boot. A crude picture of a man with a crown. The joke spreads. They laugh. A few spit toward the cross. Not in hatred, in boredom. To them, this is a job. To them, this is sport. The crowd is louder now. The festival buzz has found its rhythm again. Some chant, others jeer. A few look confused, like they're not entirely sure what he did, only that he did something bad enough to end up here. A woman near you says, "He said he'd tear the temple down and rebuild it in 3 days. Her friend replies, Then why doesn't he tear himself down from that cross first? They laugh. Their teeth flash white against the sun. Their bracelets clink together as they applaud their own cleverness. Even the criminals speak. One calls out through gritted teeth, his voice sharp from pain and rage. You said you were the Messiah. Save yourself and us. You look up at him, a man whose hands are nailed like your son's, whose breath comes just as jagged, and you wonder how there's still enough air left in him to mock. But the worst part is that they all seem to know more than you. The priests quote scripture. The Romans speak of kings. The crowd tosses around prophecy like crumbs to the birds. Even the dying have opinions. You just stand. You're not here to argue. You're not here to explain him. You're here because you love him. And love doesn't translate here. Not to this place. Not to this moment. The only language you speak now is grief. And no one wants to hear it. Not when they've already decided what he is. A heretic. A blasphemer. A magician who got too bold. A man who reached too far and touched things that belong to heaven. They all have their answers. You only have silence. Not because there's nothing to say, but because nothing you say would matter. You want to tell them what he was like when he was 5. How he used to collect broken things. Sticks, pottery shards, injured birds, and try to fix them with scraps and songs. You want to tell them how he used to pray under fig trees for people he didn't know, how he never ate until everyone else had a piece, how he cried when a lamb was slaughtered for a festival meal. You want to scream that he's innocent. But innocence is not a currency here. Not when blood is more valuable than truth. He shifts on the cross. His body jerks against the nails. His head drops, then lifts, then drops again. He's fading. And still, they talk. A priest leans in toward a centurion, pointing at you. You catch just a word, mother. The centurion glances, shrugs. He's seen worse. Another bystander mutters, she must be cursed. You are, but not in the way they mean. You're cursed with memory, with knowing what his hands felt like wrapped around your finger, with remembering the sound of his laugh when he chased locusts through tall grass, with holding the first blanket he ever slept in, with having carried a miracle in your body, and now watching that miracle be broken in front of you. You look up. His lips move. You can't hear him, but you know that rhythm. You know that breath. He's praying again. Not for himself. For them. For the ones who know everything but understand nothing. For the priests with scrolls and hollow hearts. For the soldiers who call pain by the wrong name. For the crowd that confuses noise for truth. For you. You want to step forward, but you don't. You just grip the shawl around your shoulders tighter, as if the fabric could hold in all the things you wish you could say. The only language you speak now is grief. And here, on this hill, in this noise, among these men, it's a dead language. You remember the angel like it was yesterday. The room wasn't a room, just stone and silence, and the smell of clay jars. The air had shifted. Light came in. Wrong. Not sunlight. Not firelight. Something colder. Something older. A voice without a mouth. A presence that filled the corners of your body like breath you didn't take. Blessed are you among women. It didn't sound like a question. It didn't sound like a blessing either. It sounded like a sentence. A prophecy handed down with no explanation. No escape clause. You said yes. You didn't know what you were saying yes to. You thought you were saying yes to life. To miracles. To meaning. You didn't know it would lead here. To this hill. To this wood. To this crowd. To these flies. You look up now, and your son is unrecognizable. The bones in his wrists have begun to show. His fingers twitch, then curl. His chest rises once, slowly, then holds, then drops, like it forgot how to breathe. His lips are cracked so deep you think they're bleeding again. His legs are shaking, The muscles are gone, just sinew and memory. This isn't what the angel meant. This isn't what highly favored looks like. You were told he would be great, that he would be called the Son of the Most High, that he would sit on David's throne, that his kingdom would have no end. You were not told that kingdom would come through nails and blood and the sound of your child choking on his own spit while strangers gamble for his clothes. You hear another voice behind you, someone saying something cruel. You don't turn. You've stopped counting the insults. You've stopped cataloging the faces of the ones who came to see a spectacle. There are too many, and your energy has narrowed down to one task now. Stay upright. Don't fall. Not until he does. Your legs shake. Your lips move, silently. You recite old psalms, half prayers. Broken phrases you learned when you were young and thought the world made sense. Nothing makes sense now. He coughs. A dry sound. A rattle. You look up again. His eyes are open. They meet yours. For a moment, just a moment, he looks like the boy who once ran barefoot through olive groves, who once hid in baskets and laughed when you couldn't find him, who once kissed your cheek with jam-stained lips and promised to never grow up. But he did grow up, and now he's dying. You remember that night in Bethlehem, the animal heat, the distant sounds of travelers settling in nearby stalls, his first cry, the way he didn't scream so much as sigh, like he already knew what this world was. You wrapped him in cloth and pressed him to your chest, and your only thought was, he's here, and now he's here again. But this time, you can't hold him. You can only watch as he slips further from the world. The angel never told you it would feel like this. That blessing could coexist with brutality. That favor could taste like blood. That the promise of heaven could hang in pieces under a sun that refuses to flinch. Someone near you weeps loudly. It's not you. Your tears dried an hour ago. Grief isn't always wet. Sometimes it's a desert, a mouthful of dust, and no way to spit it out. You glance at the horizon. The city still moves. A woman carries a jar of wine on her head. Children chase each other in the road. Somewhere, bread is rising in an oven. Somewhere, someone is laughing. And here on this hill, God is dying. You want to scream. You want to ask the sky why it's so quiet. You want to call the angel back and demand an explanation. But you already know. You were never promised understanding. Only presence. Only this. The boy is still breathing. Barely. You can hear the shift in his chest now. The way each inhale seems to take longer than the last. Like the air has become heavier. Like the world is pulling it out of him one breath at a time. You whisper his name. Not loud. Not for anyone but you. You whisper it, like a secret. Because that's what he is now. A secret that only you really know. The boy and the man. The flesh and the miracle. The cradle and the cross. Blessed are you among women. The words ring in your ears like a wound. You want to ask the angel if he's watching. If he still believes it. If this is what divine favor feels like. Splinters, spit, and silence. You stare at your son's body, and for a moment, you feel nothing. Not because you don't care, because you care so much it's burned straight through your nerves and left only numbness. But even in the numbness, one truth remains. You would still say yes. You would say it again. You would take the angel's words and hold them like fire in your hands. You would carry the weight. You would carry him. Even here. Even now. Especially now. You remember the cave, the damp stone, the smell of animal breath and afterbirth, the straw that pricked your back and stuck to your legs, the way your body split open, not just in pain, but in awe, the way heaven moved through your skin and came out crying. You remember his first breath, how it startled even the goats, how it echoed louder than the wind outside, how the sky stayed still, just long enough for you to believe something holy had come into the world and nothing would ever be the same again. You were wrong, because now you're here, on another hill, surrounded by stone and filth again. But this time, it's not the beginning of anything. This time, you're not swollen with purpose. You're empty, flattened, hollowed out. This is not childbirth. This is unbirth. You carried life, and now you witness death. And there is no epidural for the soul. Your body still remembers what it meant to make him. The flutter in your stomach when he turned. The stretch of ribs when he kicked. The weight of him pulling your spine forward, changing your walk, your sleep, your breath. And when it was time, the Seth, when the pain began, it felt like fire, but it had meaning. This pain has no meaning, only noise, only silence, only that sound he made a few minutes ago. Not a word, not a cry, just that dry, fractured moan, as if his lungs were remembering what it was like to be safe, as if he was searching for the sound of your voice again, but couldn't find it. You whisper to him now, not words, just sounds, hums, the kind you used to make when he couldn't sleep, when his tiny fists would punch the air and he'd cry because he didn't understand the dark. He understands it now, too well. There's blood on your hands. You don't know where it came from. Maybe your knees, maybe your nails dug into your palms too hard. Maybe the wind carried it. Or maybe you touched the base of the cross when you weren't looking. Maybe you just needed something of him on you again. The last time you held him, really held him, he was still whole. He had arms that wrapped around your neck, hands that brushed your hair back, a chest that rose and fell in rhythm with your own. Now look at him, stripped of everything but breath, hanging like a forgotten coat on a splintered rack, head bowed, skin flayed open, ribs pushing through where flesh used to be, legs trembling under the weight of what the world decided to do to him. You gave birth to this. You made this body. Not just the womb part, all of it. You fed him, bathed him, brushed the dust from his knees, wiped figs from his chin, kissed every inch of his skin until he stopped letting you. And now that skin is breaking. Now that body is unraveling in front of you like thread pulled from a garment you once sewed. There's no mercy in this. Only the sharp, unrelenting truth of motherhood, that the world will not spare what you love, that it doesn't care that he was yours first, that it doesn't pause to ask you if you're ready to say goodbye. You're not. You never will be. Someone behind you is praying, loudly. Their voice cracks. It's a prayer for deliverance, for rescue. You want to believe it. You want to believe the sky will split, that angels will rush down with swords and trumpets and rip the nails out of his hands and carry him home. But the sky hasn't moved. Neither has God. And maybe that's the worst part. You once believed he was the Son of God. Now you're just trying to believe he's still breathing. He shudders. His body jerks. A cough. A gasp. His eyes open. Then close. He's somewhere between this world and whatever waits on the other side. You don't know if he's afraid. You don't know if he can still feel you watching. But you're here. You're not leaving. You want to crawl up that cross, cradle him like you did when he was small, whisper lullabies into his ears. Tell him this is all a bad dream and he'll wake up soon with warm bread and clean clothes and sun on his face. But you can't. You can only stand. Stand in the heat, in the blood, in the horror. And remember. You remember the way he clung to you that first night, the way he wouldn't sleep unless your hand rested on his back, the way he trusted that you were the safest place in the world. You were. You still are. And if you could, you'd climb up there and trade places, because you didn't just give birth to him. You gave him everything. And now, you watch the world take it all away. You cry. Not the kind that wails or shouts or draws attention. Not anymore. That part of you is long gone. These are quieter tears, the kind that ache as they leave, the kind that sneak down your face without permission, as if your skin itself can't bear to keep the pain inside any longer. And still, nothing changes. No one stops. No one turns. The soldiers don't notice. They're too busy casting lots for his cloak, joking like it's a tavern game. The priests don't flinch. They speak to one another in polished tones, their robes swaying in the wind like this is just another day in holy office. The crowd doesn't look at you. Most of them don't even look at him anymore. They've gotten what they came for. Blood. You wipe your face, not because you care how you look, but because the salt stings. It settles into the cracks at the corners of your mouth. It seeps into your throat. It burns worse than the sun. You cry because it's the only thing your body still knows how to do. Everything else, your voice, your breath, your legs, all of it feels borrowed now. But the tears still come like a habit you can't quit. They fall, one by one, onto the dust. And the dust does nothing. Your tears don't soften the wood. They don't dull the nails. They don't bend the spear you know is coming. They don't even stain the ground in a way anyone would notice. You cry, and the world keeps killing. There's something obscene about that, about the way death is allowed to be casual, about how suffering becomes wallpaper, a backdrop for a meal, for conversation, for someone's afternoon stroll through town. A child laughs somewhere nearby. You close your eyes. You don't want to hear it. Not because children shouldn't laugh, but because once upon a time, your child laughed too. And now his mouth is dry and open and too tired to form words. You look up at him again, just as his head shifts. His eyes flutter open, then shut again. His chest rises in that uneven, desperate rhythm that tells you his lungs are still fighting, even if the rest of his body has given up. And here you are, crying, as if that does anything. You've seen what tears can do. Once, when he was a boy, he scraped his knee, and your tears made him smile. Another time, when he got lost in a market, your crying brought strangers running to help. Back then, your grief moved things. It mattered. Not here. Not now. You want to scream at someone, anyone. Do you not see what you've done? But no one would hear you. Not because you're quiet. Because they've decided not to listen. You're just a woman. Just a mother. Just one more pair of hands wringing in the dirt. And mothers cry all the time, don't they? Over scraped knees and broken dishes and husbands who never come home. What's one more mother weeping at a crucifixion? You watch a fly land on his cheek. It stays there. He doesn't move it. He can't. And your tears do nothing. They don't chase it away. They don't lift his head. They don't close his wounds. They don't undo what's already been done. You want to go back. Not to the cave. Not to the birth. To the quiet years. To the years between miracles. The years no one wrote down. The years where it was just the two of you. When he came home tired from working with wood, and you laid bread on the table, and he told stories that didn't end in prophecy or death. The years when he was just your son, but those years are gone. And this hill is all that's left. This hill and your useless tears. A woman beside you sobs, louder than you. Messier. You don't stop her. You don't comfort her. You understand her. She still believes the crying matters. That maybe if she's loud enough, God will listen. You envy her. You don't pray anymore. Not with words. You just stare. Stare and cry, and watch the skin peel from his back. You wonder how much pain a man can feel before his soul walks away. You wonder if he's already gone. If he's hovering somewhere above the crowd, watching his body fail while everyone else plays out the scene like a pageant. You hope not, because you need him to know you're still here, that you didn't run, that your love didn't break when the wood did, that you will cry for him, even if no one else does, even if heaven stays silent, even if the earth refuses to open and swallow this horror hole. You cry, Because you remember. And because remembering is the only thing they haven't taken from you. Yet, his eyes meet yours. And for a second, time collapses. Not back to the manger. Not even to Nazareth. It collapses to the thread between you, the one that's never broken, even now. The one that tied your womb to his breath. The one that held when he took his first step, and when he spoke his first word, and when he left home to chase a calling bigger than the village could hold. You expect blame. You expect pain sharpened into question marks. You expect him to search your face for some kind of answer. Why this? Why now? Why me? Why didn't you stop it? You would have, if you could have. But there's no blame in his eyes. Not even disappointment. Only that look he used to give you after waking from a bad dream. That quiet look that said, I know you're here. That's enough. You can barely stand. Your hands shake at your sides, but you don't raise them. You don't reach for him. What would it matter? He's too far and too near. And nothing in this world could carry your arms up high enough to pull him down. So you stand and you weep. He's speaking now. His lips are dry, cracked. The words come slow, like every syllable costs him blood. You take a step forward, just one. The guards don't stop you. You're no threat to anyone anymore. Maybe they think you're part of the furniture now. Another shattered thing nailed to this moment. His head turns, and he says it. Woman, behold your son. And then to the one beside you, John, he says, behold your mother. Your breath catches. He's giving you away. He's placing you in someone else's arms. Even now, even in this, even while the sky refuses to break and the soldiers roll dice and the pain pulls his body inside out, he is still protecting you, still shielding you with the only strength he has left, his words. You want to scream at him. No, I don't want another son. I don't want another house. I want you. I want your hands around mine. I want your sandals by the door. I want your shadow on my wall at sundown. But he's not letting you choose. He's doing what he always did. He's caring. Even as the world breaks his spine and heaven holds its breath, he is arranging a future for you. You nod, even though he doesn't ask you to, because you know this is one of the last things he'll ever say, and you don't want it wasted. You turn to John. His face is wrecked, his eyes swollen. He looks like he aged 10 years just standing beside you. You grab his hand, not because you need him, but because your son asked you to. The sun hasn't moved, the crowd hasn't left, the end hasn't come yet, but something has shifted. He gave you a new title. Not mother, not Mary, woman. You were mother once. You were vessel, shelter, firelight, the body that brought his into this world. But now you are witness. Now you are receiver. He has passed something into your hands that isn't swaddled in cloth or pressed to your chest. He has passed you pain, purpose, a name that will echo long after the voices on this hill go quiet. You were mother once. Now, you are the one who stays, the one who lives, the one who remembers. You glance up again. His mouth opens like it wants to say more. His body lifts slightly, as if he's preparing to finish something. You know that posture, that gathering of will, that moment before miracle or message. But he stops. The breath leaves. And for a moment, he's still. The cross does not shake. The guards do not move. The sky still holds. But you feel it. A shift. The moment between heartbeat and no heartbeat. You hold John's hand tighter. You don't speak. You don't cry out. Because something deeper than tears is rising in you now. Something older than grief. A knowing. He looked at you. He gave you away. But you are still his. And he is still yours. Even now, you feel it Inside your chest, a trembling, not the kind people see, not the kind that moves mountains or splits the sky. The earth doesn't shake, but you do. It starts in your ribs, spreads down your arms, your fingertips buzz, your knees betray you. Your spine locks as if bracing for a blow that never comes. You grip your shawl like it's armor, but it's nothing. Just old cloth, stained and soft. It slides through your fingers like water. You are not safe. Not from this, not from now. You want to scream, not words, just something primal. A sound to remind the sky that a mother is standing here, and her child is dying in front of her, and that should matter. But your voice is gone. It's somewhere in the dirt, buried beneath the feet of those who stepped on it on their way up the hill. Somewhere between the taunts and the laughter and the orders barked in Latin you don't understand. Your voice has been trampled, flattened, forgotten. You open your mouth, and nothing comes. Your lips move, but your throat stays closed, like your own body is trying to spare you the sound of yourself breaking. You stumble back a step. John steadies you. His grip is too gentle. You want something firmer, something that will hold you up when your legs give out. But even stone would be too soft for this grief. His body is still on the cross, still breathing, but barely. Every rise of his chest is a miracle. Every groan is a curse on your ears. You flinch with each one, not because you're weak, but because you remember what he sounded like when he was well, when he laughed until his stomach hurt, when he sang with a voice that didn't shake like this. That voice is gone now. What's left is this rattling, this awful dry heaving sound that fills the air and your lungs and your memory all at once. He's dying, in layers, and you can't stop shaking. You try to be still, try to breathe deep, but the air won't cooperate. It tastes like sweat and blood and dust, and it sticks to your throat like ash. The trembling worsens, not in your limbs, in your mind. You can't hold a single thought. They all slide through you. Birth, bread, laughter, sandals, water, blood, a cross. Your hands, his hands, a wooden table, a Roman hammer. You try to find him in all of it, the real him. Not this torn version swaying from nails, not this breathing corpse. The boy, the man, the one who kissed your temple and asked you about heaven, the one who touched lepers and made them whole. But the image keeps slipping. You see too much of the now. His feet are black with dried blood. His knees wobble. His jaw clenches so tight you worry his teeth will crack. He's dying in front of you, and you can't stop remembering how it felt to carry him inside you. And the earth? It does nothing. The sun keeps shining. No eclipse, no storm, no thunder. Only you are shaking. You dig your nails into your palm, it helps. A little. Pain reminds you you're still in your body, still alive, still here. You whisper again. A name. His. It comes out broken, like a rusted hinge. But it's enough, because for 1 second, his eyes flicker toward you. They barely open. Just a sliver of brown under lashes caked in sweat. And it stills you. Not completely, not for long, but enough. He sees you. You're not just another face in the crowd. Not just another weeping woman. You are mother. You are the beginning of him. You are the breath that first greeted his. You are the arms that once held him steady when he could not walk. And now? Now he's holding you steady, with a glance. You nod. It's pathetic, really, the smallest motion, but it's all you have. You want him to know you're still with him, that no matter how loud the crowd gets, you haven't left. Your legs are still shaking. You wish they'd give out. Wish they'd knock you to the ground so you could sob into the dirt and scream into the silence. But they hold. Barely. The hill sways. Not because it moves, but because your eyes blur. You blink. Breathe. Steady. The trembling doesn't stop. It's in you now, permanent, like the memory of a scream you never got to finish. You will carry it home. You will carry it into silence and supper and sleepless nights. You will carry it until the world ends, because the earth didn't shake, but you did, and you still are. The crowd thins. At first, it's just a few. The ones who came for noise, for drama, for the spectacle of a man unraveling in public. They begin to murmur, shift on their heels. One points toward the sun. Another checks the time of day against the temple bells. You hear sandals brushing against the dirt as they walk away. Not because it's over, but because it's boring now. The blood has dried. The bruises have settled into color. The cries come slower, weaker. There are no more soldiers laughing, no more priests heckling, no more shouts of Messiah tossed like stones. All that's left is silence. Slow death. The kind that's hard to watch, not because it's gruesome, but because it demands too much time. And time is something these people don't give to pain that isn't theirs. You watch them leave in pairs, in groups, some alone. A man finishes his fig cake and flicks the wrapper at the ground near the cross. A mother gathers her children, one of them bored to tears, the other asking when they'll eat next. A few linger a little longer, squinting up at your son like he's a painting they've grown tired of interpreting. The novelty fades. It always does. Even miracles, you've learned, lose their shine when they stay too long in plain sight. You glance up at him. His chin has fallen to his chest. His body hangs a little lower now. Gravity does what the whip and the nails started, pulls him down, stretches him thin, turns him into a shape that barely resembles the boy you once held. A woman near you whispers, "Is he dead?" You don't answer. Not because you don't know, but because the question feels too small for what's happening. He's dying, but not all at once. Not clean, not dramatic, just slow, like sand leaking from a broken jar. And that's the problem, isn't it? The spectacle dulls. There's no fire, no thunder, no curtain tearing or stars falling, just a man drying out in front of his mother. And death, it turns out, is quieter than people expected. They wanted drama. They wanted the sky to rage. They wanted to feel something worth talking about later. But this death, his death, isn't built for crowds. It's built for the ones who stay. For the ones who can bear to watch the light leave his eyes inch by inch. For the ones who understand that sacred things often die in silence. You stay. You don't move. Even as the crowd becomes a shadow of itself, even as the hill feels wider and the wind grows colder, you stay. John is beside you, his hand still in yours, his knuckles white, his eyes red. He's not a boy anymore. Not after this. You don't speak to him. You don't need to. The ones who are still here, they don't speak much anymore. Words are useless now. There's no explaining what it's like to stand at the edge of a world that's ending for only a few people. You glance around. A few women remain. Their faces pale. Their heads bowed. You know them. You don't have to look twice. They're the ones who followed him from the beginning. The ones who washed feet, who fed the crowds, who stood at the back while the men shouted over prophecy. The ones who didn't need to be seen, just to be near him. They're still here. Of course they are. Women know how to stay. You look up again. His lips move. No sound. You lean forward, just slightly, as if you could catch the breath before it escapes. But the wind pulls it away. It's almost over. You can feel it. Not because someone said so, not because the sun is setting or the blood has stopped or the guards are gathering their spears. You feel it in your spine, in your stomach, in the way the earth around the cross feels thinner now, like something is about to break. And still they leave, one by one, two by two, back to their bread, their chores, their Sabbath preparations. back to the comfort of not having to care about a man whose body couldn't survive the weight of what he claimed to be. You don't judge them. You envy them a little. How easy it must be to walk away from this, to forget it happened, to tell the story in whispers years from now, with just enough detail to sound brave, but not enough to remember how it smelled, how it sounded, how it felt. You'll never forget. You'll never be able to unsee him, unhear him, unlove him. The others start to leave, but you remain, rooted in sorrow, anchored in love, because someone has to watch the light go out. Someone has to carry the silence home. His breaths are slower now. You count them, not with numbers, but with the space between. At first, they came like waves, ragged, sure, but rhythmic. Now, it's different. The gaps are longer. The pauses stretch like rope about to snap. You wait for each return like it's a miracle. And when it comes, it's quieter than the last. You feel the separation before it's real. You can't explain it, not even to yourself. It's not sight or sound or anything anyone else would notice. It's inside your body. A tug, a loosening, like something essential is being pulled from your chest. Not all at once, but slowly, like thread unraveling from both ends. You've never felt so full of absence. Your hands start to shake again, but not from grief, from knowing, from that terrible knowing that's louder than any scream. You're not ready, but it's happening. You look up. His head is lower now, chin nearly to his chest, one eye swollen shut, the other lost in shadow. His mouth is open, but the sound is gone. Or maybe your ears have shut down to protect you. Maybe your body is trying to spare you what comes next. The wind picks up. It doesn't help. It carries dust into your eyes, your mouth, your memory. You taste it when you breathe. Earth, blood, the skin of the hill, the rot of bystanders who've already forgotten him. You blink, and something in you pulls tight, like the last moment of a dream before waking. You know it's close. He's letting go, but you're still holding on. And not with hands, not with arms, with memory, with ache, with the way your bones still remember his first kick, his first word, his first wound, with the kind of love that doesn't ask permission. It just exists. Loud, brutal, eternal. He exhales again, but it's not a breath. It's a surrender. You take a step forward without meaning to. John grabs your arm gently, like he's afraid you might walk into the sky and never come back. You don't shake him off, but you don't look away either. His chest is still now. No rise, no fall. Your heart beats louder, like it's trying to make up for his. You wait. One more breath. Just one. Please. But there's only stillness. And then, the weight. It hits you like a stone dropped from heaven. The knowing becomes real. He's gone. And yet, he's not. Not fully. Something in the air still holds him. The imprint. The echo. The warmth not yet chased away by death. You press your hand to your chest and feel it. That impossible tension. You are two people now. The one who lived before this and the one who must carry what's left. Tears come again, but they're different now. Heavier, slower. They don't fall from your eyes. They drop from your soul. One by one, like morning, has learned patience. Around you, nothing changes. No trumpet, no curtain tearing, no fire, just silence. And in that silence, the shape of your love lingers. You whisper his name, not out loud, not with lips, with thought, with everything that's left in you. Jesus, your son, the boy you birthed, the man they broke, the lamb they led. You want to touch him. One last time. His foot, his hair, anything. But the guards are still nearby, and something sacred keeps you where you are. Like to move would dishonor the moment. You close your eyes and remember the first time you saw him sleep. So still, so soft. This stillness is different. It's hollow. You lean on John now, not because you're weak, but because you're human. And being human has never felt so hard. You feel his absence move through you like a wind. It doesn't destroy. It hollows. Make space for something you don't understand yet. Something deeper than grief. Something like purpose. But not today. Today, you just want to scream. But you don't. You stay still, the same way he is, because you loved him. And now, you'll love what's left. He shouts. Once. Loud enough to crack the air. Loud enough that even the soldiers glance up from their dice. Loud enough that the birds in the trees stop their chatter, and the crowd finally remembers what they came for. My God, my God. And then silence. Not the peaceful kind, not the quiet that cradles. This silence slices. It's a vacuum, a ripped open space where something holy used to be. It rushes into your ears like pressure underwater. Your hands tremble, your breath stalls. He slumps. Not violently, not like stories will later say, just slowly, like gravity finally got its way. Like the weight of the world he carried for everyone else finally slipped loose and dragged him down with it. His knees buckle outward, his head tilts, his arms stretch just a little more than they should. You wait for breath. Nothing. You wait for movement. Stillness. You wait for the impossible. But the impossible already happened. And now this is the part they never tell you about. The part after the miracle. After the fire, after the shouting. This is the part where God goes quiet. The light leaves his eyes, and you feel it before you see it. There's no flash, no trumpet, no parting of clouds, just absence, sharp and immediate, like something just walked out of the room and took all the warmth with it. And the crowd, they don't cheer, they shift, uneasy. They look to one another as if unsure whether they should clap or leave or bow. Someone coughs. Someone laughs. A short, nervous sound that dies in their throat. Children whimper. Old men adjust their robes. They don't know what to do now that death has actually come. It's too real, too slow, too close. You don't move. You can't. Not because you're frozen, but because you're anchored. Like the moment has nailed you in place just as firmly as they nailed him to the wood. You stare, and he stares back. Except now, it's not him. It's the shape of him, the shell, the body, the vessel that once held everything bright and loud and holy, now emptied. The wind changes. It circles your ankles like a snake, cold and low. You gather your shawl around your shoulders, but the chill is inside you now, in your bones, in your blood, the kind of cold that doesn't come from air, but from goodbye. For you, it will never be over, because it wasn't just a death, it was his death, and his life wasn't ordinary. His life was made of promises and bread that never ran out, and eyes that saw through lies. His life was thunder in a whisper, fire in human skin. And now he's gone. The moment death arrives, the world should have split. The sky should have wept. The earth should have torn open and swallowed everyone whole. But it didn't. Instead, the guards stretch. One yawns. A woman drops a basket as she walks away. A priest adjusts his head covering, like he's late for something. You want to scream, to shout, to make them look. Really look. Do you see what you've done? Do you see what you've lost? But you know they won't understand. They didn't see him the way you did. Not when he was 6 and chasing goats barefoot. Not when he was 12 and asking the temple questions no one could answer. Not when he wept for strangers and washed dirt from the feet of men who would betray him. They saw a problem. You saw a promise. And now, both are broken. John shifts beside you. He doesn't speak. He just bows his head, as if the act of witnessing this death is too much for his eyes. He presses a hand to your back. A small gesture, but it holds the weight of someone trying to keep another from collapsing. But you don't fall. Not now. Not yet. You owe him this. This last stillness. This last minute where the world hasn't caught up to the truth. He's dead. And yet somehow, impossibly, he's more present than ever. Like his absence has taken up space in the air. Like his silence echoes louder than any sermon he ever gave. The hill holds its breath. And so do you. Because this isn't the end. But it sure feels like it. They pierce him. Just to be sure. As if the stillness wasn't enough. As if the silence didn't scream loud enough. As if the slump of his shoulders and the weightless way his limbs hang don't already say what your heart has known for what feels like hours now. One of the soldiers steps forward. Not the loud one, not the cruel one. This one doesn't speak much, just obeys. Just carries out orders like they're made of stone instead of blood. He walks with the calm of someone who's done this before. The spear glints. Briefly. Then it disappears into him like a blade into softened fruit. And your breath doesn't even hitch. You're past flinching. There's no gasp, no scream, just the dull exhale of finality. Not from him, from the world. The crowd is mostly gone now. Only a few linger, scattered like debris on a field after a storm. Some curious, some dazed, a few stunned into reverence, though they'd never call it that. The priests have returned to their scrolls. The marketplace is humming again. The city is moving on, but you are still. Because this is where time broke. The blood comes first. Of course, dark, slow, like it's tired of leaving him. Then the water, clear, like a whisper. It spills from his side and soaks into the dust. It looks like prophecy, but prophecy doesn't make it hurt less. You don't cry. Not now. That was hours ago. That was when the hammer fell, and the cross rose and your hope cracked like bone under Roman steel. Now, you just watch, like stone watches the tide. Unmoving, unchanging. The soldier doesn't even look at you. He doesn't need to. You're not the point. He's doing his job, making sure the dead are dead. He doesn't know this man held galaxies in his breath. He doesn't know this wound was foretold centuries ago. All he knows is protocol. You should hate him. Maybe you do. Maybe hate has no room in you anymore. Maybe grief has taken all the seats. John shifts beside you. He lets out a sound. Not quite a word, not quite a sob, just something human. He turns his face away. Can't watch this part. But you can. Because what's one more wound? What's one more hole in a body already full of them? What's one more pain to layer onto the heap of them you've been swallowing all day? The spear doesn't kill him. It just confirms what you already knew. He's gone. And not the way people go when they leave a room or take a journey or slip away in the night. No, this is a vacancy with shape, a divine exit that echoes. It left a door open behind it, and now the air around you is colder. And still, you watch. Because what else is there to do? The earth doesn't open. The heavens don't thunder. There's no angel to scream in the soldier's face. No voice from the clouds calling fire down on the ones who did this. Just a dead man on a cross. And a woman beneath him. The blood soaks into the dirt. You wonder how many times this hill has drunk it. How many sons it has devoured. How many mothers have stood where you now stand, hearts ripped from their chests and left to beat alone. You are not the first. But today, you are the only one who knows what it means to lose him. The soldier steps back, nods. He's done. He doesn't wipe the spear, doesn't speak, just turns and leaves. And you remain, because someone has to. Someone has to hold this moment. Someone has to etch it into memory. Someone has to make sure that when the world forgets how he died, not just that he died, but how, someone can whisper the truth. You saw it. You felt it. You lived it. And now you carry it. The blood, the water, the silence that followed, the crowd thinning, the soldiers walking away, the bruises on his skin, the nail holes in his wrists, the curve of his ribcage, the tilt of his head, the way the sky didn't even flinch. All of it. In you. Forever. The spear was the last insult. But it wasn't cruelty. It was confirmation. And confirmation is a kind of mercy when the world keeps trying to pretend he's just unconscious, just sleeping, just pretending. He's not. He's dead. And still, somehow, he is more himself now than he ever was. Because the pain is over. Because the worst has happened. And because even now, nailed to wood and pierced through the side, he is still holding the world together. You close your eyes, not to unsee it, but to remember every part of it in the dark. They let you hold him again, not out of kindness, but because no one knows what else to do with a dead son and the mother who stayed. The cross is empty now. The crowd is gone. The hill is quiet. The soldiers have moved on. Half drunk, half bored. Only the ones who cared are left. And even they are silent. As if speaking would profane what's left. The ropes are cut. The body lowered. They handle him like he's heavy. He is. He always was. Even as a child, he felt denser than others. Not in weight, in presence. You used to say he was made of stars. Now he's made of stone. Someone calls your name, not loudly, just enough to pierce the stillness. You look up, and they're offering him to you. Your knees falter before you can stop them, but you don't fall. You kneel, hands out, palms trembling, like it's a second birth. Only this time, you don't deliver him. You receive what's left. He is heavier now. There's no breath to lighten his chest, no warmth to keep his skin soft, no tension in the muscles, just cold, just finality, just the long, unyielding weight of death pressing into your arms like regret. You cradle him like you did in Bethlehem, like you did after his first fall, like you did when he was sick with fever and you hummed lullabies into his hair, believing that sound alone could chase the darkness away. You kiss his brow. He doesn't twitch. Your lips rest there longer than they should, as if you can breathe life into him through memory, as if your kiss can rewind time, as if the warmth of your mouth might stir some forgotten spark behind his eyelids. But he is gone, and he takes the silence with him. No one dares interrupt. They just watch you, a mother with her son, reunited in death. And maybe, for the first time, they understand who he was. Not because of the signs or the sermons or the shadows torn from the temple, but because of this stillness, this unholy grief wrapped in holy love. You smooth the hair from his forehead. It's matted, dry with blood. His cheeks are bruised, his lips cracked. His beard still smells faintly of sweat and myrrh. You trace his jawline with your thumb, the same jaw he clenched when he was focused, the same jaw that trembled when he cried. You remember his first tooth, the way he cried until it broke through, and how you cheered, foolish and proud, at that tiny evidence of growth. Now there is nothing left to grow, only to bury. Your tears fall onto his chest. They land where his heart used to beat, where it broke for the world, where it finally stopped. You whisper to him, words only he would understand, things you never got to say. I'm sorry. I'm proud of you. I still don't understand. But he does. He always did. Even when no one else could. Even when you couldn't find the words, he found the meaning. You pull him tighter, not because he needs it, but because you do. The hollow inside you has no bottom, and his weight is the only thing keeping you from falling through it. They wait. They don't rush you, because there is no rushing this. No clean end to a grief like this. No neat closing. Just time, and the ache that eats it. Eventually, someone kneels beside you, a hand on your shoulder, another on his feet. They whisper something about linen, about spices, about the tomb Joseph has offered. You nod, but you don't really hear. Your world is narrowed to the space between your face and his. You rest your forehead against his. Your tears mix with his dried blood. You stay there for a long time. Long enough to forget there are people around you. Long enough to feel like it's just you two again. Like Nazareth. Like quiet mornings before the crowds, before the miracles, before the cross. Just mother and son. You breathe in deep. And for a moment, you pretend he does too. But he doesn't. And the pretending breaks you. Still, you hold him. Because this is what mothers do. We carry. We cradle. We remember. Even when they're gone. They place him inside. Not roughly. Not carelessly. They treat him like something sacred. Like a scroll no one dares tear. Like a lamp that's gone out, but still warm. Their hands are slow. Their voices hushed. They move as if they know God once lived in that body. And maybe still does. You don't help. You've done enough. You stay outside. Not because you can't bear to see it, but because you can't bear to leave it. You keep your feet on the dust just outside the mouth of the cave, just far enough to let them do their part, just close enough to hear every whisper of linen, every last touch. They wrap him like something precious, but broken. And isn't that what he was? The treasure of your womb, the hope of the world, split open for strangers, poured out on wood and stone and judgment, now bundled like a child again, but colder and silent. The tomb is too quiet. No birds, no wind. Even your breath feels wrong in the air, like an echo that doesn't belong. You want to fill the space with noise, with wails, with worship, with words that matter, but there's nothing left in you to give. You've used all your language on survival. You stare at the stone that will soon seal everything you ever loved behind it. And you don't blink, because if you do, he might disappear. You've already lost too much, too fast. The cross, the spear, the weight of him in your arms. Now this, a slab of rock between you and the only soul who ever looked at you and saw heaven. No, you won't look away. Let them close it. Let them roll it. Let them press it tight and walk away. But you will watch. You will memorize the curve of the opening, the edges of the rock, the way the shadows cling to the inside like doubt. John is behind you. He doesn't speak. Neither does Mary Magdalene. Neither does Salome. The silence hangs like mist, wet and unmoving. Each of you trapped in your own world of grief, bound by it, but not comforted by it. There's nothing to say, and everything to feel. The burial is fast, the sun is falling, the Sabbath is coming. The laws don't pause for sorrow. Even death has deadlines. They step back. One of the men nods at you, gentle and unsure, like he's asking permission to do the thing that will end everything. You nod once, not because you're ready, but because someone has to. They roll the stone. It grinds across the earth like thunder dragged sideways. Dust kicks up, pebbles scatter. The sound is final, ugly. It doesn't belong in this holy place, and yet it's the only honest sound left. When it stops, the tomb is closed, and so is your breath. It stays caught behind your ribs, afraid to leave, afraid to confirm what just happened. You don't move, even as the others do, even as they whisper about returning after the Sabbath, even as they speak of spices and cloth and closure. Closure. The word feels cruel. You don't want closure. You want him. You want him laughing. You want him cooking fish. You want him brushing dust from his sandals. You want him telling stories around the fire with that smirk he always got when he knew the ending would shake someone's world. You want your son. Instead, you have a rock. You don't weep now. There are no tears left. Just the ache. The heavy, throbbing ache that lives behind your eyes and deep in your throat. You sit down on the dirt. You press your hand to the stone. And in that moment, you remember everything. The angel's voice, the first kick, the miracle at Cana, the betrayal in the garden, the nails, the shout, the silence. It all loops in your mind like a psalm with no melody. You whisper his name. Once. Not to call him, just to remember how it sounds. And the wind finally moves. Soft. Barely there. As if creation itself is exhaling, trying to comfort you. It doesn't. But you stay a little longer anyway. Because this is the end of the world. And no one should have to face it alone. The sun sets. As if it has permission. As if the world isn't splintered into jagged pieces. Some buried under a stone. Some still bleeding in your chest. As if the sky didn't just watch God die and decide, well, time to start again. Shadows stretch across the streets like nothing happened. The market reopens. Someone calls out about figs. Someone else haggles over lamb. The clatter of sandals returns. Pots clang. Coins exchange hands. And laughter breaks open, like nothing sacred was lost. The city resets. You walk through it like a ghost in your own skin. People pass you. Eyes glaze over you. They see a woman, perhaps older than she looks, but not the mother of the broken body they cheered to death. They don't recognize grief unless it's loud. Yours isn't. Yours is a silence that scrapes. You pass a boy dragging a toy cart, a girl selling grapes, a Roman yawning in armor, the same world without the same sun. You go home, but only your body arrives. The rest of you is still folded in the dirt at Golgotha, clutching the memory of weight and silence and wood. You sit in the doorway before you realize you're there. You open the door, but the inside feels unfamiliar. His sandals used to sit there. Now the corner is empty. The jug of oil you kept for his visits is still half full. You stare at it. You think about pouring it out. You don't. You think about smashing it. You don't. You just stand there, hand frozen in midair, like your body doesn't know what time it is anymore. You leave your shawl on the table. You don't even bother folding it. You lie down, but sleep doesn't come. Your eyes close, but your mind replays the shout, the hammer, the slumped body, the stillness after. You remember holding him. You remember his cheek against your forearm. You remember how heavy his hand felt in yours. Not limp, but done. You curl onto your side. You press your knees to your chest. You try not to breathe too loudly, as if even the walls might break if they hear what your heart is doing. Your body aches, not from the walk, not from the hill, from something deeper, something marrow deep. Your motherhood is bruised. Because how do you mother a memory? You used to know how to protect him. Now, you don't even know how to bury him properly. You hear someone outside, talking, laughing. There's music in the distance, a drum, a flute, a celebration for the Sabbath. You want to scream. You want to run into the street and shake them, tell them, remind them, explain what they've done, what they've lost, that nothing is normal, that nothing will ever be. But instead, you whisper his name into your blanket. You taste the salt of your own mouth. You feel your shoulders quake. You hold his voice in your throat like a song with no end. And then, somewhere between despair and silence, a flicker. You don't know what it is. Not hope, not yet, but something stirs, not in the room, not in the night, in you. Something isn't finished. You can't explain it. It has no shape, no name, but it sits upright in your soul like a visitor who isn't ready to leave. It whispers without words, not comfort, but continuity. You remember his parables, his hands breaking bread, his eyes when he forgave what others condemned. You remember how he looked at the world, as if it could still be healed, as if even betrayal could be turned into something sacred. You sit up in bed, not all the way, just enough to breathe again. Something is not over. You feel it, like breath before the wind, like dawn pressed behind the hills, like a stone that looks solid, but is waiting to move. The world moves on without him. Yes, but something, somewhere, is about to move back.